Go ahead and share my screen. Hello, thank you for joining us tonight as we discuss different ideas of respite retreat pampering for parents and caregivers of people with disabilities. It's kind of an unusual outreach conversation, but I think it's a conversation that may encourage others into thinking creatively and how they can serve families impacted by disabilities. From the slide, you'll see I have 4 logos. We have the Center for Disability Empowerment. I work for them. My name is Deb Peterman, and I am a transition coordinator and community connector. We are working on a grant with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, and the grant is named Ohio Family Network. And in the upper right, you'll see the Chart in the Life Course logo. These life course tools are simple and amazing. Great to get conversations going, problem solving, goal setting in a variety. Anyone can use them for anything. So as I said, I work for the Center for Disability Empowerment. And what do we do? The Center for Disability Empowerment is a 501c3 non-residential independent living center. It is driven by the choice and direction of people with disabilities. Our mission at CDE is to provide supports and resources for people with disabilities in order for them to be participants and contributors in their communities as they live, learn, worship, work, and play alongside those who do not have disabilities. We are federally mandated to offer 5 core services. Information referral is like always the top one. People always have questions, needs. If we don't know, we find out. We do offer independent living skills and development. Should somebody want to learn how to do a process or helping them getting Social Security, just anything something they want to do and need the support to do it. We also offer peer support and system support. We offer advocacy, both self and systems, transition services for youth. We call it youth empowerment, and transition services for people wanting to get out of nursing homes. So those are 5 core services. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to have our first speaker, Jema Chinelli, come and talk about herself. Jema is with Johnny and Friends Ohio, an international disability ministry, one of which I have been a part of for many years. And they are just one of several faith-based organizations I reached out to. And so we'll start with her and see who else will jump on or share their ideas. So Jema, I'm going to go ahead and let you take it from there.
All right. Thank you, Deb. So I just wanted to chime in and say the Charting the Life course, I love it. And the fact that, like you said, it can be used anywhere. Johnny and Friends, we focus on enabling the churches to be able to minister to families who are affected by disability. And it's amazing. Charting the Life course can be used in those church classrooms as well, like to find out where does the person want to be? What do they want to be doing? So it can be used anywhere to help with the inclusion process. And then I like that you talked about choice. That's one of the big things is giving a person a choice. And that's really one of the reasons why Johnny and Friends exists. We want to give individuals a choice on where they go to worship. Families, we've heard that only 1 in 10 churches are accessible or what we say disability friendly. And that's sad because that means that out of, a community with 10 churches, a family with disability can only choose 1. Well, that's not really choice, that they're not given a choice. So we're working to change that so that families will have more of a choice. And then when we say inclusion, it's really there are different models within the church. So Johnny says that disability ministry is not disability ministry until the disabled are ministering. That's a mouthful, but it's really just to say that we're not about a separate program. I know some people think that. They say, oh, does your church have a disability ministry? And there's a place for that. And I know, Deb, I'm preaching to the choir literally here, for Deb, excuse me, because we're not just asking for there to be a separate program for individuals with disabilities. It's just going in and removing barriers that are in the churches so that individuals with disabilities can be a part of the greater church body. So that's kind of just a little bit in a nutshell of what Johnny and Friends does, or the mission behind what we do. But I wanted to talk tonight about some of the community resources that we have, and respite, of course. If you've been around the disability world at all, respite is one of the biggest needs that we hear from families. And Lynn, I think Deb said you're a parent and an advocate. Is that correct?
Yes, that is true.
Okay. So what do you think when I say the word respite?
Well, I work for Ohio Family to Family, offering family support.
Okay.
And respite is needed on all levels and in all forms, and it's hard to come by any way you look at it.
Yeah.
So if a parent lines up a respite provider to be with their loved one with a disability for 2 hours a week so they can go to a yoga class, that's respite.
Right.
But being able to send my daughter to camp at Recreation Unlimited for an entire week during the summer is also respite, and it's kind of the opposite ends of the spectrum there.
Absolutely, yes.
So, well, and everything in between.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do is Johnny and Friends. So, for instance, I'm just going to kind of go through the calendar a little bit, and Deb has links for each of these that she can share with you, Lynn, and then share with others. Now, I do want to clarify, Deb mentioned that, yes, we are faith-based. So we are a Christian organization. In our mission statement, we want to share the gospel with individuals living with disability. However, an individual does not have to be a Christian to take part in our services. So there are no requirements where that is concerned. So we're open to the public, to anyone who can benefit from our services. Excuse me, I have not coughed all afternoon, and now that I've tried to talk. So starting coming up soon in the beginning of April, like next week, actually next Thursday evening, we're having a mom's book group. So we let moms, sign up for that. We're kind of seeing how it's going. Megan, my operations manager, she wanted to try this as a book, a book club, kind of a book talk. And I said, I'm not sure that's going to go over with moms, because they're going to say, I don't have time to read a book, but some moms, I know they can find that that's their away time, to be able to read. So we do have about, I think, 6 moms joining us next week that we sent them the book called Glorious Intruder, a book by Johnny, and we're going to just discuss that book on Zoom with moms. So that's happening for that one.
I have a question. What is that listed as in your list of links that you gave me?
It is not, because it's already passed. We sent the books out. So, I mean, I can send it to you if you want, but the registration is closed because we had to send the books out to individuals.
Sure. Okay.
I thought about including it, but I thought moms might not want to show up now because they're not going to have had time to read the book.
Okay.
But that is happening. We publicized that back in January and February. So that's happening. Then we're having a halftime respite, and that's happening in Lancaster. So Deb can share that one with you. That one is the beginning of May. I skipped one. Deb, there is a ladies pampering that is happening in the Galion, Ohio area. And that's, we have the church, we'll have women being pampered massages, nails done, nice little chocolate, just a day. We did one last year, and we even had clothing that had been donated by a local clothing shop. So moms got to go shopping for free, which was fun. But all kinds of things. We have a craft station, time of worship, just time of relaxation, these nice big comfy couches and books, and moms could just sit. They could do whatever they wanted to. So we're doing one of those. It is April 22nd. And moms can bring their loved one with a disability with them. We will be providing respite at the same time as that pampering is going on. So Deb shared the link for that one. The registration is open for that. And, we want moms to register, as well as then registering separately their loved one who would need that care while they're being pampered. So that one's in April. Then on May 6th is the halftime respite in Lancaster. That's at Home of Joy Farms. And that one will be an actual, what we're calling halftime respite, where moms and dads can drop their child or their loved one off. So we will have care for about 3 hours in the afternoon on that Saturday, May the 6th. And again, registration is open for that as well. There's no cost for either of those events, either the pampering or the halftime respite.
I wanted to let people know that on the list that I have, I'm typing in the dates, and I could put it all in one folder, a file, and send it to you, or post it on the link. So I was just wondering, did you have like the pages put together so people can see the flyer? Or do you want me to do that?
I do not. If you want, there's one, I could have sent you the I think I did the overall link. Yes. That will take you to one page where they're all listed.
Okay.
If you'd like to do that. I didn't know for sure which.
Yeah, why don't you let me do that?
Okay.
And I guess I would share my screen, right? Here we go again.
There we go.
Yeah. Let me open it first.
Sure.
So Lynn is also part of the new Central Ohio outreach for that we just started in, I think it was November. So let me go ahead and share my screen now, and maybe we'll just go through each one. How's that?
Sure. Oh yeah, that sounds good.
I like pictures. I'm one of those people,
Yes.
All right. So sharing the screen. You don't know how to do it.
I know, and Zoom is different than Teams, and I always forget which one I'm on and how to share.
Okay.
There you go. There
Can you see it?
Yes. So if you scroll down,
okay,
and you'll see all those events. So so let me start there. The Young Adult Bible Study. I don't think did I include that one in there, Deb?
I think you did.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and do it.
Sure. Yeah, that one is happening tomorrow evening. We have an intern who is with us. She's a Wright State student in rehabilitation counseling. She's doing her internship with us at the Ohio office. And she's tremendous. She's a fireball. She has cerebral palsy, spastic quadriplegic cerebral palsy. But she's just full of life. She's tremendous. I love being around her. And she has her own ministry called Even If Ministry, and I would recommend that. You can share that with your families. That's specifically for young ladies who have a physical disability or chronic physical pain, and it's weareevenif.com is that ministry. So We Are Even If. For Johnny and Friends, I've stretched her a little bit to offer this young adult Bible study to any young adult. And it's a very loose term. Young adult is anybody 14 and up, so we have some 17, 18-year-olds. And last week we had a 40-year-old that joined. So it's basically, any quote unquote young adult. And they're meeting together, and it's stretching Renee because she's used to dealing with individuals with a physical disability, but she has a mixture with this group. some with an intellectual disability as well. And last week, she was just, I love hearing her reports after a Tuesday night, because she said it was just amazing. It's, Deb, you know, it's something that you taught me how to teach, that when you're teaching somebody, you know, you can't limit it based on, well, I'm afraid they won't understand. You know, you just teach it. It's our job to teach it. It's not our job to apply it in their life, so to speak. That's the job of it, in my opinion, the Holy Spirit. So Renee was just amazed that she said, I just taught like I would teach. She said, it really was no different. And that was so, I almost laughed, because I thought that's what we go out and teach. And yet she experienced it, that she was nervous about having this mixed group, and would she have, how much would she have to change? And I said, I wish everybody could hear her say that, because that's what we go out and try to teach, you know, individuals. And Lynn, I'm sure you have experienced this as well. And we experience it with going to churches. People are afraid that they're going to have to change too much to accommodate individuals. And I always say, people have more in common with each other than there are differences. Don't look at the differences, look at the individual first. So it was interesting. She's got that heart, but it was like her eyes were opened even more last week for that. So we do have a Zoom link available for that. If you're interested, you would just email her, that intern, R. Dollenmayer, at johnnyandfriends.org. And again, Lynn, any of these, or anybody else that may be listening, any of these are available. It's johnnyandfriends.org/Ohio. And then there's a tab there that says upcoming events.
Yeah. So and I will send in that link.
Sure. Okay.
Ready for the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How about Moms and Women Caregivers Virtual Care Group?
Yes. So that's the book club.
Okay.
So that's the one. So it is still open. I'm not, scroll down and see if people can still join. Let's see, go down a little further, I believe.
Add to calendar.
Yeah, see, it's not, well, so.
Yeah, it says RSVPs are now closed on there.
Okay, thank you. Where did you see that, Lynn? Oh, right up there, yes. So it's happening, but yeah, I don't know that anybody can sign up for it now.
Okay, next one.
Ladies Pampering Day, that's the one we talked about. Again, that's at a church in Gallion, Grace Point in Gallion, and registrations are open for that. Again, that's for ladies and then their loved one.
Do you have a specific form people fill out in preparation before they go to an event for the caregiving?
We try to include all of that in the registration page. So for instance, if you go on to apply and then you say that you're bringing a loved one with a disability, then it will open up additional fields to be completed. All right, next. Lynn, if you have any questions about any of these, just stop me. So
the halftime respite at home, I like that.
Yeah, halftime respite at Home of Joy Farm. That's a farm. Are either of you familiar with that? It's in Lancaster. Beautiful, beautiful piece of property. They have horses there, and they want the property to be used. So they open it up to us, and we had an event there for families last year. So this year we're going to try it as respite so that parents can drop their child off if they'd like. So for that one, you see here, there's different options. You can apply as a family. You can apply as a volunteer, because we will need volunteers signing up for that, because we'll train individual volunteers to be a buddy with the individuals for the day, or apply as a personal care attendant if a parent wants to send a personal care attendant with their loved one. So it's just a kind of a fun day at the farm with the animals.
So let's say someone wants to duplicate this. Is there anyone willing to share their notes?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing. We could, while we're on this Johnny Friends page, we could go, there are so many resources here of, what to do if you're an individual that needs resources, what to do if you're a church that wants to replicate programs like this. There's a whole series of books called the Irresistible Church series, which Deb was a part of writing that series when she was with Johnny and Friends. So there's different pieces of it. Like there's actually a book on respite called We've Got This. So there are kind of how-to steps.
They're just like little pamphlet books.
They are.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
easy reads.
Is there a place where someone can like download that on their computer?
Absolutely. Yeah. All of those books are available with a PDF download. So if you wanted to go like the education and training tab there at the top, Deb. Yeah, church training resources. And there's some cool, Deb, you may not have even seen all these. There's some really cool videos that are available.
And all of this information is free, right?
Absolutely, yes. There are some courses that you can sign up for that there is a cost attached, but most of this you can access for free.
Mm-hmm. I know that Lynn's church does an outreach during the summer and they need volunteers. So is there a way that they could get you guys to come and help to train buddies?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We can help with recruiting the volunteers, and then we can help train. It's interesting. I did a training, and again, I first heard my training from the lady above me on this screen right now, and sat thinking, wow, I would like that job. And little did I know that she was retiring from that position. So, but yeah, I did a training in Circleville, and it was interesting. The lady was so on board with ministering to kids with disability. And she thought she was doing things well, and she was, but she was having some issues with one of the little boys, just, not paying attention, not doing this, whatever. And I did a training for them. And Deb, I still use, I think you taught me this, where, I can either, if I have a student with autism, I can either make them make eye contact with me so that I think they're paying attention, or I can let them doodle and fidget or whatever, and they really can be paying attention, So I remember, so I'll use the thing of, if you're looking at me, then you're looking at, oh, you have glasses. I wonder where you got your glasses. I get my glasses at Walmart. Oh, I wonder where Walmart is, or what, instead of just looking down and being able to hear me teach the lesson. So I gave some of those tidbits to that particular church, that lady, because she was asking about a child with autism. And I went back, I talked to her about 3 weeks later, and she said, thank you so much. She said, that was amazing. She said, he didn't change. She said, but I was so much more calm and able to go through the lesson. And she said, and he was great. Everything worked out great. So it's just so neat to see those little tidbits. So again, a lot of that has come from listening to other people teach, and then experience within the church. But all of that, there are tidbits of that information. I see Crystal there. We have a podcast that's available. So wonderful resources there. And like I say, lots of videos. And you can kind of, as you go through these resources, there are some that are just actually like the Start, Connect, Solve, and Grow. There's some, like if you say, you know what, I just have one simple question and I need like an answer in 5 minutes. There's that level of resources, all the way down through, you can take a 6-week course in Beyond Suffering if you want to go that deep into a training.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's so important when you're training a church is training the teachers.
Yes.
And, for example, if they're there and they're not looking at you, they are listening. Right. I think we just need to really equip them, to just relax and let people be while learning, what's important, for their safety or allergies. The old need to know interview. What's he like? What's he doesn't like? What sets him off? What comforts him? What food allergies do they have? And how long do you want me to wait till I come get you?
Yes, absolutely.
You
That's
know?
like we're doing the halftime respite, and then you'll hear me talk later on about overnight respite, and that's a new thing for Johnny Friends Ohio this year is to do it overnight.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah.
Let's
But
go.
it's so we have certain questions in there, but it's like, yeah, those main things. When do they go to bed? When do they get up? What are the meds, of course? And then tell me, what are their triggers and how do I comfort them if there's a trigger? So it's basically making sure they're safe. So yeah, there's all those resources.
Did I want to view all the events? Let's see.
Yeah, if you want, yeah, go on
So it's
down.
got
There
the
we go.
calendar, halftime, marriage getaway.
Yes.
There you go, Lynn.
Yes, this is when we're going to have, I bit off a big chunk this year, but it's going to work out. We're doing the marriage getaway and the overnight respite on the same weekend because I wanted moms and dads to be able to come to marriage getaway. And there are couples that haven't been able to come. This will be our third year doing a marriage getaway. There have been couples that have not been able to come because they could not find care for their loved one. So the marriage getaway is at Berlin Resort in Millersburg, Ohio. So Ohio Amish country, beautiful. And then the overnight respite is taking place at Round Lake Christian Camp and Conference Center in Lakewood, Ohio. So they're about a half hour away from each other. I would have liked them to be a little closer, but I think the half hour is going to be good because it's not going to be, obviously in case of an emergency, we want mom and dad to be able to come. But we also want those young adults to know it's not just so easy for mom and dad just to run right over, So, and it's funny, the individuals that I've interviewed, and we're doing young adults for insurance purposes, we had to choose either 18 and over or under 18. So for this first pilot round, we're doing 18 and over. And some of these individuals, it is the first time that they will have been away from mom and dad. But those young adults are excited. I said, it's the moms I'm going to have to worry about while they're at marriage getaway, So we are so looking forward to that. We have about, I think, 12 couples signed up for marriage getaway. So we still have room. We have planned for 15. So, and we could take more if needed, but that's kind of our plan. So we have room for more couples. That starts on a Friday evening and then goes through Sunday lunch, and just a wonderful time, kind of a balance of talking about marriage in general and then talking about marriage impacted by a disability. And it's a good balance of structured time and then free time. We don't want the couple to come and then have to sit in a meeting for 48 hours. So it is not that. We had one, actually I saw a picture of them when you were on that previous page, Deb. There's a couple there, and they said she couldn't remember the last time they had walked around and held hands. And we gave them the whole afternoon in Ohio Amish country, pamper them. We find all kinds of freebies and goodies for them so they can go shopping free of charge in Ohio Amish country. And they had a blast for all of Saturday afternoon. And again, the way we've worked it with overnight respite, it's about like a half hour away, so couples can drop their child or young adult off at respite, get them settled, and then they can come over, enjoy the marriage getaway for the weekend, and then when marriage getaway is over, go back and pick up their young adult from overnight respite. So we are looking forward to both of those events happening at the same time, but it's going to be good. But there again, we need trained volunteers. So we're working marriage getaway. We don't have to have very many volunteers. It's a pretty easy weekend to do. But overnight respite, we especially we're handpicking some of the volunteers. And now that I know, I think I said we have 10 campers signed up to come for that. And actually, no, 9. One canceled. They found respite closer to home, so that's okay. But we have them coming, and we're going to identify volunteers that may have worked with them at family retreat or some other outreach in the past so that they know them, and we'll ask those volunteers to come and be part of that weekend.
So one thing, you're probably going to touch on family retreat, even though it doesn't qualify to just the adults like what this whole goal was. But it has been the best training ground for short-term missionaries, or what we would call volunteers.
Right.
And a lot of those people will volunteer at these different events during the year because
Right.
they see the impact that it's had on the family. So I'm going to go ahead and go back and
Okay.
make sure I'm covering all this stuff.
Sure.
And
And
all
there you
right,
go.
oh, there we are, right at Family Retreat.
Yes, yes. I didn't put those in as a link because unfortunately, both of our family retreats are full this year for families. Now, we do still have room for volunteers. So like Deb said, this is a great place for churches to send volunteers to train on how to take it back to their church or to their local organization. But family retreat, whereas it's not overnight respite because they go back to their lodge room or their hotel room at night with family, but during the day, moms and dads do get some respite. So the day will start off with a group time with everybody together. We have breakfast together, do some services together. It's almost like a vacation Bible school where kids are going to have a Bible time, Bible story, music time, recreation,
Class.
craft, all of that. So they're going to be doing those kind of things while moms and dads have teaching on at their level, and then small group time with other moms and dads. And they love that. They love that time to get to know each other. It is amazing how people will show up on a Monday that have never met individuals before in their life. And 4 days later on Friday, they're crying, sobbing as they're leaving each other because they've just had that time to share intensely from their heart. So they are getting respite during that time because a short-term missionary has their child from the time from after breakfast until lunchtime. Then they'll meet back up with the family at lunchtime, except for certain days, like there's a Tuesday outing for dads. They go down to the lake and have a steak and some dad games down there. And then on Thursdays, mom's pampering. So there are certain days where the STM does still have the child for lunch. But most of the time, you meet the family for lunch. Then you can have Deb, this may be new. We didn't do this when you were here. We call it Tata time because Johnny's last name is Tata. So, but it stands for together and doing activities. So rather than having programming in the afternoon, it's just activity time. Families can choose to go on their own to do something, or they can choose to have their short-term missionary do something with them. And parents can still, even at that point, if they say, no, you know what, Dad and I want to go take a nap and you take the kids for the afternoon, that's still okay as well. So again, that respite opportunity. And then we do give the STMs a break, hour and a half to a couple hour break in the afternoon. And some of those young kids think, I don't need a break. By the end of the week, they wish they had taken that break because they're worn out. Then we get together for dinner, and then in the evenings there are different activities. Monday evening there's an opening program, there's an ice cream social. Tuesday night is the carnival night. Motorcycles come in. That's one of the highlights for a lot of individuals. Everything is accessible. There's one young lady from Pennsylvania, Deb, I know you know her. She says, I like Johnny and Friends better than Disney World because I can't do everything at Disney World and I can do everything at a Johnny and Friends family retreat. So Wednesday night is a big dance party. Thursday night is a talent show, which you need lots and lots of tissues for that talent show. I was a puddle on the floor, my first talent show. And then Friday, we send the families off, and it's just a week of celebration, just celebrating those families. And I love to see the dad's reactions. Sometimes we'll have a dad come in who you could tell he might not have been totally on board with coming. And then once he's there and sees other dads dealing with, being the dad of a family with disability, I love it. One dad, they live in the Xenia area, and he said, it's my favorite place to be. He said, because I get to be with other dads who get it. This is the only place I go all year long where I don't have to explain my daughter's disability. So it's just freeing. for them to be together. So that's our family retreat. We're doing week one in West Portsmouth, Ohio at Shawnee State Park and Lodge. And week two then in July is at Berlin Encore and Suites and Hotel, again in Millersburg, or actually Berlin, just up from Millersburg. So get a new location in Amish country. We are excited about being there this year.
You know, one thing I think it's really cool about with training the short-term missionaries, we basically, well, I'm still saying I'm still with them, but you know, when their STMs come, they learn about major safety and about every disability. And then when they're ready the following morning, they will learn about the person that they will be paired up with. We've had children that had 3 short-term missionaries because of due to safety, but we were doing anything to keep that mom to stay, that this week was for her too. And, you know, there's some that do a tag team and just do the same event all day, which is, you know, that kid might want to be swimming in and out all day. So there's flexibility for everyone to enjoy themselves. But I think what really amazed me was a church sent their whole youth group to come and serve together. And what happened after that is many of those students came back in the following couple of years and became part of the training team or leading, you know, the Bible lesson for kids or arts and or you know, all that fun stuff. So it leaves, you know, it is a little taste of heaven. And every family and person will tell you that. So I'm a big proponent for, did I use the right word? For a family retreat.
Yes, it is a life-changing event.
Okay.
Then in August, so we make it through the summer, and then this is a virtual, just a prayer and praise time. We did these last year. We tried to do them monthly, and it started out fine. And then as people, I think some people got tired of Zoom as things were opening up more and people got busier back with other things in their life. So attendance started dropping a little bit on these. So we're only doing them quarterly this year. So that one would be in August, and you can sign up for that. It is a very, it's respite in the sense of just some time away. I had one mom last year that I said to her, I was looking at the camera and I said, "Are you in your car?" And she said, "Yes, it's the only place I can be alone." And I said, "Okay, that's fine. That's fine." You know, so it is just a chance for moms to get away and do that. Just being with other moms and sharing, crying, laughing. Sometimes we'll do a craft. So people can sign up. We'll send the craft supplies out to them ahead of time. And then we can do that craft together while we're on the phone, which is just kind of fun to see everybody making their own little craft. And it's just an hour and a half of fun time together.
Okay.
Back to school celebration. That one's in the Cincinnati area. And that's just a family fun day. So the whole family can come, and then it's all accessible, fun. We have the church, Deb, the church Hillcrest, that had come for years with their youth group to family retreat. They come and bring carnival games for this, and just fun. We also Luke 5 adventures. If you haven't heard of them, I would suggest looking into them. They are a wonderful resource for families as well. They do accessible hiking. So it's called Luke 5 Adventures, and they have what's called a Rosie, and Rosie is it almost looks like a rickshaw. And so they have people they call Sherpas who will take these hikes. So individuals who use a wheelchair and would never be able to go out, you know, on a hike. And we're talking hikes like rocky terrain, stuff that I could not do, you know, on 2 legs. So These are individuals that, I mean, to see the faces light up of individuals who've never been able to be out in nature that much because there haven't been accessible paths. So these individuals, they get to sit in Rosie, and there's a Sherpa in the front and in the back, and they take turns, and they're navigating these terrains, these hills and valleys and cliffs and gorges and all kinds of stuff to go on these hikes. So, and Luke 5, they will come to wherever you want them to be. We've had an event with them in Pittsburgh, in our Pittsburgh region. I know they do some Columbus areas, and they are trying to get a chapter in every major city. So they started in Cincinnati, and they have a chapter there, and then they have a chapter in the Cleveland area. So I would recommend you, finding out more about them. It is a wonderful outreach for families. So they're going to be part of this back to school celebration too. We're going to do a scavenger hunt in the Rosie. So people they'll be finding their clues, but being led or, chauffeured basically in a Rosie. And then we have collected backpacks and school supplies and just fun things to give to kids. So it's just a fun afternoon, getting back to school, and it's open, all family members. So, again, we're trying to do the inclusion piece too, that we're making sure it's friendly for individuals with a disability, but it's not just exclusive. So, and I believe, is that the last one?
I'm gonna double check.
Oh no, there's more. September. I just remembered. Yeah. September is our ladies getaway. This is the first time this is being done in Ohio. We actually had a mom who came up to us at family retreat last year, and she said, "Can you do this for just moms?" So we're like, okay, let's try it. So we're doing a weekend, the same place that family retreat is, or for week 2, we're doing the weekend just for ladies. So ladies and women caregivers. So you can be married or you do not have to be married. So that's the difference with marriage getaway. This is just a ladies getaway, for ladies to come and have the weekend away to be pampered. We have a professional masseuse that is going to be there. Jennifer Shaw will be the speaker. Deb, you probably know her, or I think that it's a familiar name. Just a fun weekend together. And again, this is the first time that we're trying this in Ohio. And I do know, you'll see there, it says $250 per person. I have been able to locate some funding, so that cost is going to come down. I don't know exactly how much, but it will be at least half of that. So no more than $100 will be the cost of that. So $100 for a weekend at that resort is not bad.
Okay, so when you say weekend, are you thinking Friday and Saturday night, or just Saturday night?
Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 nights. So.
Okay. Since that was,
if you go back in and check, we should have that number updated pretty soon. I just don't have the final I's dotted and T's crossed to get that number changed, but I'm working on that this week. So, and
well,
that's it.
I think it's not just that. You know what I mean? This is so desperately needed. It's like now we're preaching to the choir. We all, need those different respites. But it has been quite a challenge. I'm going to just tell both of you that to find other faith-based connections in our own communities. Today, I actually met a person with the Jewish. I forgot the name, sorry, but this woman said that she's taking over the job as their inclusion director, and she said we've only done like parent support groups. So Lynn is our go-to, knows everything that's available here, especially in Central Ohio. Lynn, have you ever seen any of these types of things that James talked about?
Well, I am really impressed with the long list of things you have on your calendar of events. I've been aware of the Johnny and Friends Family Retreat forever.
Mhm.
We never did go as a family. My my husband is one of those, no thanks.
Yep.
I don't want to do Bible study. I don't want to talk about my feelings. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about my marriage. Like, no.
Yeah. You know what? Oh, remind me to
I
say something else when you're done.
yeah, I twisted his arm. Like our church does a family retreat just for all families, an inclusive family retreat um, every year. And I did twist his arm into going to that retreat one time.
Okay.
And he put up with it. But he said, okay, I did it and I didn't hate it, but don't ask me to do it again.
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But we as a couple manage respite because of Recreation Unlimited, the camp.
Mhm.
Um, my daughter goes to respite weekends at Rec Unlimited. And before COVID, we had gotten into a routine where if she got accepted for a respite weekend, we would make a reservation at a B&B somewhere.
Okay.
And we would drop her off, and then we would go and have our time away for a couple of nights while she was at camp.
Mhm.
And she just finally made it back to Recreation Unlimited a couple weeks ago for the first time since 2019. She hadn't been there since before the pandemic. So it's nice. It's nice. She was anxious about going back, but she had fun, and I think she's excited to be back on board with it. So, and as far as respite goes, um, well, Deb had mentioned that our church in Gahanna, Ohio, offers um, a, a special needs ministry that provides some respite opportunities. It's basically for the community and not just for the congregation, because a lot of the participants who come to the various activities are not members of our church.
Mhm.
But we do the week-long camp in the summer, which is an overnight camp, and we do a once a month Saturday respite, which is most of the day. I think it's like
Yeah, I
10
think
to
it is most of the
3.
day. Yeah.
Um, and then there's a Bible study that is every other week, or two Thursday evenings a month. And so they're always recruiting and training volunteers to support these ministries. And of course, as a parent, the not really a struggle, but the thing that I weigh in my mind
Mhm.
is, I could get in there and help out, right? And make it better.
On a
And then
break.
it would be a better program for my daughter. But that's not the point.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we have to remind that to parents.
Yes.
You are not going
Yep.
to be serving.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so as a parent, you also weigh different things. You weigh, for example, inclusive experiences versus segregated experiences for your child, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Recreation Unlimited is a segregated camp. It's a camp for people with disabilities. That doesn't mean that my daughter doesn't have a blast while she's there,
Mhm.
and she's fully supported and safe in an environment with people who are trained to work with people with disabilities. I also enrolled her in a regular Girl Scout troop, and in order for her to participate in Girl Scouts and cookie sales and camp, of course, I became the cookie mom and I became an
Oh.
assistant leader. And I mean, when you push for your child to be included in a typical situation like that, it's pretty incumbent upon you to get involved to make sure that it's
Mhm.
going to happen. So that's the beauty of different things, like Miracle League Baseball. You just go and you're a parent sitting in the stands cheering for your child because they assign a buddy, and the buddy does whatever your child needs in order to participate in the baseball game. And you have the experience of just cheering and being a spectator. And so that's a beautiful thing. So, you know, it's the balance of those different kinds of things. And I would say a couple other things that my daughter has found and participated in that she really enjoyed. Young Life Capernaum, if families are not familiar with that opportunity, that's a pretty strong and growing ministry, and their training is great. I found that the college age leaders of the Young Life Capernaum groups are just really spot on. They're so caring and knowledgeable. They're so warm and welcoming. They're so inclusive. The key to that for my daughter was, as I said, you know, she was a typical Girl Scout going to camp with her mom. She was a camper at Rec Unlimited where she didn't have me around, and she was completely supported in a segregated environment. Young Life Capernaum was the first time that my daughter went to a social and spiritual activity, and the people who were running the program welcomed her in immediately as a friend, as a peer. They were her age. And so she didn't feel like someone was babysitting her or supervising her or taking care of her or protecting her or anything like that. They were just sharing their love of Jesus with her as a friend, as a peer. And she responded to that instantly. Like, she has a lot of anxiety about going out and doing things in the community. And we went one time to one Capernaum thing, and she could not wait to go back. And those young people, they're so, I mean, they're such a blessing. They don't just share and minister to them. They also have like girls and guys hangouts on the weekends where they just get together and go to the corn maze or the apple orchard or to Starbucks or wherever and just hang out together. Or they would call Erica up and say, you know, one of the leaders would call and say, what are you doing Thursday night? I'm going to pick up these other two folks from your group, and we're all going to go to Panera for dinner. Do you want to join us? You know, just for social outings and activities. And so as a parent, I could drop her off at Panera, and they were like, thanks, Mom. See you later. How about in 2 hours? And I could just do my thing for 2 hours and go back. And that's another beautiful little pocket of respite. Like, when I'm talking to parents of children of any age about respite, about needing a break, and I'll say, you know what, take it where you can get it. If your child is going to PT and OT every week, try to schedule it back to back. It won't overtax your child to have it back to back. They're doing different kinds of things, and that's going to give you a little block of time where they're in good hands, and you can sit out in your car and read a book, or you can drive to Starbucks and get yourself a coffee, or, you know, take a quick little walk around the block and get some fresh air. Like, take the time where you can get it, right? Try to structure your life to build in those little pockets of respite. So,
you know, we used to have what we called the boardroom. It was once a month, held on Friday night. I did charge because we didn't have a budget. We had pizza and soda, and basically the parents would drop off their kids and go have a date, go out to eat or do whatever they want to do for 2.5 hours. And so, you know, karaoke, board games, Uno, of course. But they had, you know, yes, it's segregated in that the goal was towards these families of children with special needs, but it was a lot of fun, and it's not a great, you know, commitment. And when I said the boardroom, I don't mean BORED. So I think just find, like you said, Lynn, finding those little nuggets where you can catch a break. You know, to me, respite is, you know, if you're a neighbor to a family and they have typical kids and they have to take their kids to therapy with them, why not ask their typical kids over to hang out, do their homework, at home versus sitting in waiting area. I did have one church that wanted to reach out to families, and they found out that the local ice skating rink had classes for kids with disabilities at a specific time of day. And so the families are sitting there with their typical kids waiting. And I said, why don't you bring some board games, some games, and just do it in the lobby where they're waiting. It's one way to serve their family while, their children are happy too and having fun. So I think if anything, respite can look like anything, but it is a challenge to find safe venues and that kind of thing. But and what they did with the ice skating rink, when the ice skating lesson was over, they invited all the families to come to the church to have a dinner and hangout time. So, not only did they embrace them there, but they said, hey, giving them an opportunity to come in their church location based on the trust they built over that time. So it's just a thought.
Mm-hmm. Lynn, can I ask what church you attend in Gahanna?
Peace Lutheran.
Okay.
Yep. In fact, I believe the lady's still there, Miss Pat. She and I did a Johnny and Friends wheelchair drive. I think it was in 2000, and Pat did that location as one of the drop-off sites. Okay. So she is a professional in the field, and so she has a real big passion for the people that we love.
Pat was a driving force behind a lot of our disability ministries. We call it friendship ministries. Mm-hmm. And she may be retired now or almost, but she was an occupational therapist with Franklin County Board. She's done wheelchair drives, and she's done collections of like AFOs and other braces and equipment and things, and taken them to Haiti, where they have a distribution in Haiti as part of a ministry there. So I also occurred to me, we've participated in years past. There are some churches in Central Ohio who offer Vacation Bible School, and they'll have a special needs class within the Vacation Bible School. Like at our church, we welcome children, of any ability, and we try to, pair up the child with a VBS volunteer who maybe has some background. Like we have several VBS volunteers who are retired special education teachers, etc. But this other church that we had gone to with our kids, they had VBS in the evening, and they had a special class for students with special needs, so that if it was a large church, and so when you're getting all together in the big room with the loud music, and they're up on the stage and they're flashing lights and they're doing crazy things, and some kids, it's just too much. And so they said, let's get to know your child and what they like and what they can't handle, and if something's too much for them, we've got staff or volunteers to do the same lesson in a calmer, different, smaller setting, where it won't be too much for them. And so that was a welcome thing. And that was respite as well, because it was in the evening, and my husband and I would drop our kids off for VPS, and we would go have dinner somewhere, and then we would come back and pick them up. So.
Hey, Marion. Good to see you.
So Lynn, you're muted, Marianne. We can't hear you.
On the hospital billing.
There we go. Marion's son is in my class. And Marion, do not worry. You didn't miss a thing because I am recording this. So you'll be able to catch up. But, that we were talking about the different types of support that comes in the form of respite and what it could look like. And Jama, wave hello, Jama. Jama is with Johnny and Friends Ohio. And then we have Lynn Fogel, who is she's a parent and a big parent advocate in Central Ohio. So we're kind of sharing ideas, and and Lynn made a good point. Is respite, take advantage of respite in whatever form it comes in. If someone's offering to do it, and you're not part of that church, or right, Lynn?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know that Marion and her husband are the main caregivers of their son. What kind of respite do you get, Marion?
He attends all our friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special needs daycare.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just for the adult age, so no younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
But we're always been like looking forward when he would be able to have a place to go. When he was in high school, he couldn't go anywhere else other than the camp, recreation unlimited, and that was about it.
Mm-hmm.
But all our friends' place, we knew the founders because they were from our church, Nazarene, and the founder also had like a sibling who was special needs. So we knew that, that they were like sincere about their mission.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan loves it. So it's like, if he's going to be late, he gets upset that we have to take him, ourselves, because he wants to get in the van. So he's like rushing, even though he's not done with breakfast, he's going to rush to make sure he gets there. But they do a lot of activities and,
Yeah. Well, James shared a whole bunch of different opportunities for caregiver parent support. Some are overnight, some are a weekend, some are 4 days, 4.5 days long. And you'll be able to catch up with that information that was shared. Do you have any question about respite, either you or Lynn? Something you always wondered, or?
well, I guess COVID was the biggest deal out of that whole situation, and just more protective than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Leary, that's why he hasn't been back to camp, because they want him to be independent, and he's not. He's incontinent, and so somebody has to make sure he's cleaning up really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if the staff is not there to be able to help him, then we couldn't send him.
I will say, Marion, my daughter just went back to Recreation Unlimited for the first time since COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And she uses a wheelchair. She has CP. She's total care. So it finally this year, I kept calling them and saying, when can our folks who need a lot of support come back to camp? And finally this year they said, okay, fill out the application. They said, you probably won't get accepted to as many weekends as you used to, because our staffing is still not back where it was.
Yeah.
But it's, it's worth it to fill it out. And I said, you know what, I can accept that. Right. But I just was glad that they were willing to let us apply again, because for some who are more independent, they never stopped going to camp. They just kept right on going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
And I just felt like my daughter's being left out. I understood, but I'm glad that they're back to being able to accommodate them at least once in a while. And so she did get to go this month in March for the first time.
So when you say during the year at Recreation Unlimited, is it usually the weekend?
Yes, they do have some week-long camps in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But she has a hard time being away from home that long.
Mm-hmm.
Her physically, she has to kind of be in a chair that's not as comfortable for her when she's at camp and she's not in her bed at home, and you know, just all the comforts of home are worse for folks who have physical frailties and what have you. But so she prefers the weekends. I don't know that she'll go back for the week long, although she was so glad to be back this time. When I picked her up, she said, I want to come back this summer. So maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Lynn, I wanted to mention a couple other things when you talked about your husband not wanting to come and talk about his feelings and all that. These aren't on our list because for some reason they're not there, and I realize they should be. We have 2 events, one here in the Columbus area at Top Golf, which is just a men's outing. Men can go and just have fun with other men. And then an axing, we did it last year. We call it men's axing out. And
That's so trendy, those axe throwing things now.
Yeah.
So we did that in the Columbus area last year. And then some of those men, they want to try Top Golf this year instead. So we're doing Top Golf they're both weekends are in September, I believe, but one's at Top Golf. And then for our families in the Pittsburgh region, we're doing an axing out event again.
I love the name of that.
Yeah.
That's great. I think
So
we women should have one of those.
Yes, that's what I said too. Well, Wally, our minister relations manager, he's like, there's too many things for women. Women get all this pampering. We need things for men. So, you know, we did that. And then the ladies getaway, though, like if your husbands are willing to do the respite for that weekend, then ladies come have a weekend away with us.
I will say that Berlin resort is awfully nice. I do get some respite for myself because I'm in a scrapbooking group. And we go on retreats at that Berlin resort. Okay. So my husband does give me respite a couple times a year so I can go on my scrapbooking retreat.
So do you just bring all your stuff and sit around talking to scrapbook?
Yep.
How cool is that?
It's probably that big room where you have your scrapbooking. That's where we do the marriage getaway. So we stay over, you know, in the resort and then have our meetings over in that other building.
Yep.
Yeah. That's where marriage getaway is. So.
Did you say you have a contact person from the Franklin County Recreation?
No, Lynn, why don't you tell Marion what you do professionally?
Oh, well, I am the family support person for Central Ohio, for Ohio Family to Family Health Information Center. So I'm a parent. My daughter's 21, my daughter who goes to camp at Recreation Unlimited. But I also work part-time for Ohio Family to Family, and we do transition workshops. And so years ago, one of my transition workshops was on spiritual, issues, and we talked about inclusion and acceptance in faith communities. And we talked about a lot of these different opportunities. And Deb had someone come from Vineyard Church and talk about their programs there. And we talked about what we do at Peace Lutheran. A friend of mine who worked really hard she has a daughter with Down syndrome, and they are of the Catholic faith. And she worked really hard on getting the CCD curriculum adaptive for children with intellectual disabilities, so that her daughter could participate in First Communion and confirmation like other students. And so she was willing to share that curriculum that they developed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always got my antenna up for more opportunities. Yeah.
So I think we've covered so much. Marion, what do you
know about a group called Franklin County Recreation?
Oh, yes, my daughter does that too.
Okay.
Is your son involved with that?
No, our case manager for Franklin County, she emails me on a monthly basis with their catalog and stuff. And they have a lot of activities on that one too.
A lot of activities.
on any of
Yeah.
those.
So what
For
is
a-
that about?
Well, for a lot of families, that is a good respite opportunity. For individuals like my daughter or Marion's son, our kids require someone to go with them to these activities because Franklin County Recreation is a program that is available to anyone who receives County Board of DD services in Franklin County. It is administered by the Hattie Larlam Agency. And so they run it. They prepare a calendar of events every month. And they negotiate really great rates on admissions to different activities that are happening around Central Ohio. And so, for example, if Erica wants to go to an OSU women's basketball game, she can go and she pays like 1/4 the normal ticket price or something. We just submitted her wish list for April. Okay. And so the things that she's planning to do in April are bowling, having dinner at the Mellow Mushroom restaurant in New Albany. They have an annual spring formal dance, and that's taking place in April. And
Is that the one church?
No, the one church hosts Night to Shine every year, which is through the Tim Tebow Foundation. Another great opportunity for respite, but it's only once a year. But hey, it's awesome. It's one night a year, but it's awesome. It's something to look forward to.
Well, we did I was at a church in Middletown last weekend, and they patterned it after after the Tim Tebow Foundation, but they just called it One Special Night, and that way they can do it whenever. It doesn't have to be
whenever. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
So yes, but yeah, the spring formal is it's separate. It's just through Franklin County Recreation. And then
like the staff there.
They have a staff of about 4 or 5 people. And so for an individual who's a little bit more independent, right, who you could drop off and they can, take care of themselves, and they just need someone to say, they just need someone to say, okay, this way. All right, there's your seat. Okay, it's great because staff can or family members can just drop them off at wherever the event is taking place and say, okay, I'll be back in 2 hours to pick you up or whatever time. But yeah, they go to they just all kinds of things, and the participants can make suggestions too. They can say, hey, I'm a WWE fan, let's go see wrestling next time they come into town. They go to the rodeo, they go to musicals and plays and concerts. They have
COSI for April.
Yeah, they're going to COSI to see the Tutankhamun exhibit. And I signed my daughter up for the Disney.
We have the Disney animation
immersion experience. So we'll see.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, it's definitely not free, but it's definitely.
What if you wanted to go to chaperone?
Yeah.
I mean, not respite, but just so if they don't have the staff.
Right. So my daughter does have a DSP, and what we do every month is the catalog comes. I talk to Erica about what she's interested in. I send the dates of all the things she's interested in to her DSP. Her DSP texts me back and says, I can do this and this and this and this, but I can't do that and that and that because I have other obligations. And so then the DSP takes her to whatever she's available for, and her waiver pays for that.
Yeah.
And then whatever the DSP isn't available for, if I'm available, then I say, okay, I'll take you. So
if let's say you did go with your daughter, would you have to pay your way in as well as hers?
Yes. And so her admission is always a deep discount, but my admission is typically not. Typically, the caregiver who goes along is going to pay full price or a tiny little discount compared to the deep discount.
Yeah, like on COSI, they said like 5 members, $5 for members, and then $13 for staff.
So yeah, $13 is still a bargain for COSI.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a discount, but yeah. Some
Okay.
things are pricey, some things are cheap. They do some, like the spring formal, I think, is free, actually. They have one or two dances every month at West Central School, and it's like $1 to get into the dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they go bowling on Tuesday nights, it's like $3 per game. So there are very affordable things you can do through Franklin County Recreation too, if you don't have a budget for the pricier things. So
Yeah.
something for everyone.
I know, Jama, you mentioned something about well, for the family retreats, how some counties will not pay, where there are some counties that will. Uh, is Franklin County a location that can, I don't even know the right words to be asking you. Do you remember I mentioned that to you?
Yes. So I don't know that we've ever had anybody come from Franklin County. I know one of the counties this year, we have a family in Delaware County that want to come to family retreat, and they had reached out to their case manager there, and they said that no, that they didn't have funding to pay for that. Now, I was told it might be that it was the difference between, I apologize for my dog yelping in the back. He has awakened and wants my attention. But they said that it was the difference in county funding and federal funding, that this particular family had federal funding and that could not be used. But I didn't understand that fully. So I've been trying to research that a little bit. But then we do have some counties, like Greene County sends families, they pay the whole way and they count it as respite for that child, but what they're willing to pay will cover the whole cost, or the cost for the whole family in some cases. Other cases, it may, they may only pay the portion that would be for that individual. So I'm trying to find the formula, really, or even help some of those other case managers know how to code it, or which bucket of money to use to be able to
pay. It's so different from county to county in Ohio, unfortunately. I'm just guessing here, but my guess is that they probably are taking a look at what's available in their county for families to access respite. Mm-hmm. And if they got nothing, then they're going to want to fund something like Johnny and Friends Family Retreat, because that way they can offer something to their families. Whereas if they're a county that has a lot of other options, then they might not prioritize it, right? And as far as that federal thing goes, I wonder if that family's child is on a home care waiver, because the home care waiver is administered directly by Medicaid, which is federal funding, whereas the DD waivers are administered by the county, and the county has some say over how the monies get spent. That would be my guess, but
yeah,
who knows?
Thank you. That's good information.
Oh.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on and doing this. It has always been a challenge for me, even when I worked for Johnny and Friends, to find other places that support families, because we know there are people who are Catholic or Muslim or whatever their choice of faith is, and it just be kind of nice for us to know who else is doing it. So that's why I wanted this time to share those kind of ideas, so that when they look at the video and say, oh, here's some ideas we didn't know about or we didn't think about. I think sometimes we just need to be sharing those ideas to the general public and throw out that net and see who comes in. So I really appreciate you all coming on. Jama, I appreciate you coming on. And as always, it's always fun to talk about Johnny and Friends. It's near and dear to my heart. But do you guys have anything else you want to say? Call it a day? All right. Well, thanks so much for joining. Marion, I think I have your email. Let me double check. I think I sent you an email today.
Yes.
Okay. I will send this link to you so that you
That's why it
can,
wasn't ingrained in my head to come up at 6:30.
no
I
worries.
just responded it.
Yeah, you came on and we'll share that information to you. And are you okay, Lynn, for sharing the information?
Deborah, it's with the vineyard group that you had created. I was a saving grace for Nathan because we were looking for, a place for him to go.
Mhm.
And so when we knew that you were still there, it was just like, we didn't hesitate and we switched from church and went to vineyard.
Mhm.
And
Well, we're still playing catch up with from the COVID because not all our volunteers came back. And so, I would love it if Nate had someone other than his parents be his person. So we're working on it.
yeah, we're it right now. So
All right. Well, ladies, it's been a pleasure as always. And thanks for sharing your time and your heart. And we'll be seeing each other soon.
Great.
All
Take
right.
care.
Thanks,
you.
Deb.
Bye. Bye.